Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, I recap Charlotte Collecticon. Just a week after I got back, finally have my voice back 100%. It is time. And you know how I gotta do it here on Catch 'em All Collectibles. It's gonna be a PowerPoint. That's just the way it's gotta be. I will leave an outline. I will leave timestamps in the description for those who want to time travel. To spare everyone who's here looking for an actual recap of the convention, the buys, the sells, what sold, what trades I made, the pickups, all things of that nature, convention related. I will do that up front. And then in the back, I will talk about the four-wheeler riding, and I will talk about the IPAs and the dinners. And I don't want someone looking for a convention recap and then wondering why is this guy talking about riding an ATV in the woods? Anyways, let's get right into it. Feel free to time travel in the comments if you wish. So this was day one setup. This was Saturday morning. I think it was early enough that I was not yet fully set up. It could have been shortly after I had some stuff bought from me. Actually, it may be that. I honestly don't remember the exact timing of this. My whole camera roll for the entire weekend was about 6 pictures. Unfortunately, I'm really bad. Don't expect like any video here. Just expect a couple pictures of my table, me talking about what I bought, what I sold, this and that. In the bottom left, there were some Nagabas. Basically, all the gaps in the left slab case were primarily ultra modern stuff. I had a very miniature, what I would call buyout. I had some CGC9 Gold Star Umbreons. I had maybe 3 of each PSA 10 Nagaba, except for the Umbreons. I did have a couple pristine Umbreons that you can see kind of in the middle. But my idea, kind of my general layout, I ended up going with one table. Earlier on in planning for Charlotte, I had thought I might go up to 3 tables. I've said it many times, but like selling items is relatively easy through eBay, and I do a good job listing things at my leisure and then packing and shipping them when they ultimately sell. To fly cards 1,000 miles, or however many miles Charlotte is, maybe not quite 1,000, but to fly partway across the country, whatever convention I'm going to, I don't know that I'll ever go more than one table. I probably won't ever go half a table again. There's definitely some conventions where I did half a table. Nice to have some room to spread out on 2 table, or what, 1 table, 2 cases. But yeah, I did. The left case was pretty much the ultra modern. Couple oddities in there. My uncut tops, die cut sheets. Then you also had some black label and gold label Beckett Naruto cards. 2 Metazu cards that did not sell the whole weekend, and then some packs down in the front middle there. I did have heavy base set unlimited. I had heavy fossil first edition and Topps Chrome. One general trend that I saw a lot of people coming Saturday morning, looking at the packs and being like, okay, let's see how my weekend goes. Maybe I'll throw away $700 on a base heavy. Maybe I'll throw away $550 on a fossil first heavy. I'll talk about it in a little bit, but I ended up getting basically bought out of those. I guess I'll just talk about it now, by TCA Gaming, by Rusty. So he spared people at the convention. A couple people did come back later on, like, oh man, you sold that. I'm like, I probably saved you pulling a PSA Hitmonchan, so you're welcome. Spoilers if you didn't watch Rusty's live stream, somebody did buy a Chrome pack from him and pull a Spectra Charizard. I believe there was also a Charizard pulled from the base set unlimited. I only watched 5 or 10 minutes of the stream. I hopped in to say hi. And I did get tagged in Discord, or somebody mentioned in Discord that a Spectra Charizard came out of the Topps Chrome. But I think most of those are already sold now through Rusty's stream. So in the middle, in the back, I had a sealed Fossil First Edition box. That ended up selling. I had 10,250 on it. I ended up taking 10 flat cash. The middle was something new. I think I talked about this in my lead up to Charlotte live stream. I went with a color-coded sticker thing here for like a bulk slab box. So I don't know if you can read it, but I can read it, so I'll read it for you. Pink, which is primarily what was in there, was $20 each slab, or 6 for $100. So basically what I did was I did like lower price points, things that weren't really worth the real estate of putting them within the cases. And yeah, I just color coded them so that you could, hey, if you want to buy one, it's $20. Really non-negotiable. Like if you're buying one, basically the the deal making was built in so that some people don't feel that comfortable with negotiating, but they kind of want a better deal. I did have a handful of people go through and pick out 6 slabs, 6 pink ones for 100. Green was 25 or 5 for 100. And then orange was $30 or 4 for 100. So the way that I did it, it almost worked out like, yeah, basically just hitting that 3-digit tier, hitting that $100 bill. Nice clean $100 bill, not having to make any change. You get an extra slab for doing that, essentially. In each slab, I mean, $20, 6 for 100 discounts it down like, I mean, $3.50 almost. Basically anywhere between 10 to 25% discount if you're picking up a few slabs there. You will see, we'll get to it, but on Sunday, I turned both cases horizontal. If you have both cases horizontal, you actually can't fit anything in the middle. I did get bought out. I probably sold, so I don't know if you can tell, but back there's a PSA 9 Japanese Nidoran. There's some random stuff back there. Back behind the thing, in my suitcase, I had maybe 50 to 60 more slabs. I had it packed tight. Shout out Java Akuma. I shipped it down to Java Akuma. And to allow people to like actually rifle through and see cards, I had to pull out maybe 10 from each side, so there was a little bit of space. As people bought slabs out of it, I popped more in, and then ultimately I kind of got fairly picked over. Maybe I think it ended up being 86 slabs, so I probably sold 60 to 70 slabs in batches of 1 to 5 or 10 people were buying them in. And then I did have one individual end up buying out the rest of them. So it worked out well. Like I bought all those down there. Really tough to sell a $20, $25 slab on eBay. By the time you pay shipping and the fees, and it's like, you're really getting very little for it. So it was nice to just ship a box down and not have to ship a box back. The right case, if you look over at the far right side, a lot of raw Champions Festivals. I think I sold a couple raw. Given like how much real estate they took up, maybe a fifth of that case wasn't quite worth it. I would have thought those would have had a little bit of quite a few people were looking at them. They knew what they were. They were pretty excited to see Champions Festivals. I had a handful of people ask me if I had staff festivals, but I did not. I just had the English regular ones. And then I had some graded festivals. I did sell a couple graded festivals and the new one, Paradise Resort. And then on the left side was primarily WotC. I had some big WotC sales, nothing too crazy, but like the general trend of this convention was Saturday I did really well. Sunday not much moved. No major buyouts. Somebody took my Nagabas, somebody took the Celebration Charizards all at once. There was a few here and there, but like nobody just took a massive amount of everything. As I mentioned, the middle slab thing, a third of it to a half of it sold, got picked over like the best stuff disproportionately would have went first solo, and then someone was offering me to clean me out of it, and it was actually towards the end of Saturday, so the timing was good because like I pick up everything at the end of the night. I don't leave anything overnight for security purposes, and I was gonna have to like struggle to walk a few blocks with my Zion case, with my suitcase full, and then I would have been balancing this graded card shoebox on top of my suitcase. I probably would have spilled it all over the streets of Charlotte and had some go down on a storm drain or something. So it's good that ended up getting bought out. I probably came down a little bit lower than I would have had it not been the end of the day and me thinking about walking back with it. I know that's been mentioned a lot, is like the end of the day Sunday, the end of the day Saturday. Vendors might be a little bit more willing to deal just because like they'll think of not having to carry it back if it's one slab. But if you're dealing in bulk, probably more so realistic. And definitely as far as like if you're at my table taking a bunch of stuff before I have to walk home with it, you're probably gonna get a slightly better deal. I did a couple of Moonbreon plushes. I ended up giving one of those away to shout out to Matt, the Pokey Chef is his username on a couple different platforms, I believe. And he very generously gave me a gift card to the Capitol Grill, and I ended up I'm like, I can't take this for nothing. This is too generous. So I gave him an Umbreon plush that I believe he gave to his daughter. He actually hit me up. I'm like, if you ever need anything from my store on eBay, like go check it out. If you ever need anything, shoot me a message. I hooked him up with a pretty decent deal on a Nagava PSA 10 set too. So shout out to you, Matt. Great guy. I know he made his way around a couple of the tables and had some of those gift cards to hand out. Really appreciate you. But yeah, that's the general gist of Saturday. I'm gonna click, I'm gonna make this image go away. I think I have a couple other things to potentially comment on. Maybe I hit them all. But yeah, sales highlights, I already mentioned all that. A lot of 001 SVPs were in that original buyout too. It was actually somebody, it was a I apologize in advance. I'm gonna forget so many names. I'm gonna not mention so many people. I'm gonna. I always one thing I hate about these recaps is that if somebody's listening to it, waiting to hear their name and then they don't. I feel so bad about the thought of that. But the individual who bought out, it was a streamer of some kind. I don't believe they had a YouTube or anything like that. I'd never met them before, but they were doing like themed mystery boxes or whatever. So they needed evolutions and Charizards, I believe. That's why they bought it, and maybe Pikachu's. I think they did like, I mean, if you're gonna pick like popular modern liquidity, Pikachu's evolutions and Charizards, that's a pretty good way to go about it. So yeah, they bought up. I had like BGS 9.5 Chinese and Japanese 001 SVPs. They bought my CGC 9 Umbreon Gold Stars. They bought the PSA 10 Celebration Charizards. Decent mix of like ultra modern, ultra liquid stuff. All my heavies ended up going to Rusty, as I mentioned. He came in like two waves. He bought and we've done bank wires before, so he just hit me up with a bank wire for all my WotC stuff. He bought the base and the fossil, and then he made some more rounds, and he kind of bounced back to my table a couple times throughout the day, and he ended up scooping the Topps Chrome in a second transaction. So I didn't individually sell any heavy packs, and he ended up buying them all and then doing a stream for him earlier this week. So the Fossil First Edition box did end up selling. I marked it at 10,250, kind of knowing I was going to take 10. I had said before, and maybe this is the beginning of the end for that, I want to be the heavy WotC pack guy at these conventions. That might be like, that might be coming to an end, because we'll see how I have a PSA graded pack submission out right now at with PSA. It's got some light fossils. It's got some light base unlimited. The last one I did, I got destroyed. I think every PSA graded backpack return that I've heard of, I mean, PK had Nat Turner on, and they said that they didn't change their standards, but they're adhering to them now. Well, if you read their standards, to be fair, most Pokemon packs out of a booster box, out of any kind of packaging, should get a PSA 8, and that's what's happening. So the fact that I don't have the ability to grade the lights in a high grade and make some margin on those, I might be done selling heavies. Plus, after selling, I mean, I apologize, Ray. Sorry, Ray, but when you sell a Poliwrath, when you sell a $700 Poliwrath that's worth about $50 to one of your buddies, it does sting a little bit, and it's great when you sell a pack and they pull a Charizard, a Dragonite, a Spectra Charizard, something like that. But a lot of times it goes the other way. A lot of times it goes south. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe I'll end up with more heavy packs in the future. But as of right now, I am fully cleaned out. That was everything I had. I think I have a little bit of Topps series. What were these packs again? Top Series 2. I think I have a little bit more of these packs left somewhere. I did bring one box's worth that all got bought out there. But I think I have a couple more of those somewhere. I'll have to see. But other than that, no other heavy packs, no like super high dollar heavy packs. Couple decent buys. I will switch over to the desk camera a couple times throughout this video just to show and talk about a couple buys, a couple like things that I was surprised didn't sell. And oh yeah, shout out to Java. I did mention Java. It made his recap too. The fact that my box was the foundation for his boxes. He slammed on his brakes, and all his stuff fell, but mine didn't fall. So sorry for that, but I appreciate you. Yeah, let me switch quickly. Hopefully this is set up properly. It is. So we'll save that one for later. If anyone doesn't know, those Top Series 2 boxes that I had, that Top Series 2 box, those packs, I had two kinds of packs actually. I don't know if you could see it in the video, but there was the box that was collector's edition, and then there was in front of it non-collector's edition. So the collector's edition, I've probably already got this backwards by now. I believe it's like a rainbow foil that were the collector's edition, and then it's more of a silver foil that were the non-collector's edition. And I opened, like, I had multiple people ask me, what's the difference between collectors and non-collectors? And I'm like, I have no idea. and answering I have no idea to 3 or 4 people in a row. I'm like, let me just figure it out. I'll open one of each. I pulled. You get a hollow in every pack, so hollow in every pack wasn't a big deal. I feel like Electrode is not much of a hit, but hey, man, this one has Dragonite in it. I remember that episode. That might be one of the better foils. I don't know, but each one I had a die cut, kind of like those uncut die cut sheets that I had, but this one was actually cut and put in the pack. And then I had a clear Pikachu. So I literally sold one. Or I opened one pack of each to see what was in them, and I had 2 hits. I forget if it was Saturday or Sunday. I think these were all Sunday, but shout out Pokenomics Jake. These ones, he had some big trades going on both days. I think Jake did really well, but he one of these Moonbreons is going to be a 10. Like it is 95+% chance of PSA 10. The other one is probably 40-45% chance PSA 10. It absolutely can happen. I definitely have worse looking 10s, so they both could 10, but one probably will. I think I paid like 450 and 500. I think I paid 450 on the worst looking one, 500 on the better one. And then I forget what I paid on the Sylveon. But yeah, I ended up, he took him in trade at a certain value. He's like, why fuss around with grading him and waiting all that time? He's like, hey, you wanna help me make some money and you make some money too. Those are the great kind of deals where it's a win-win. He quickly, I think he primarily wanted cash for his sales. He took these in trade because they're like pretty liquid. He knew he was going to be able to sell them, so he just turned around and sold them to me. So I'll talk down the line if Jake ended up scamming me and I get like a 9 and an 8 or something. But we'll see how those go. I also did get a JR Rally set, which was pretty cool. I bought this. The guy was asking $1,000. I paid $1,000. I pulled up some comps. I pulled up PSA 9 and 10 pricing. I think after he said 1,000, he kind of regretted it and thought maybe they were worth a fair bit more. But like I know Pikachu is like 500 and a 10. Few of these are like 200, 300, $400 in a PSA 10. I mean, if everything 10s, I don't think they all will. I think the Pikachu is pretty clean. A couple of these are almost definitely going to be 9s. I might make 500, 600, $700 if it goes the way that I think it will. But I think for a bit there, the person that was selling them thought it might have been, I'm going to make thousands of dollars or something. If these all 10, I think I would make $1,000, but I don't think they're all going to 10. Obviously, there's some risk. Who knows what the prices could do in the interim? I mean, they could go up too, but they could also go down. I think it was a good buy though. Not too often that I just straight up buy, but like, yeah, a lot of people will approach the table and say like, hey, are you doing trades? Hey, are you doing buys? Shout out Lord Pokesmoke. I actually heard that Adam was sending trade up challenges my way. I only had one person. One person was like, "Hey, are you doing trade up challenges?" I said, "Not really." And like, "Oh, somebody told me you were." And I'm like, "They were probably messing with me." So appreciate that, Lord Pokesmoke. But anyways, a lot of people come up to you, and I think some people are doing trade up challenges, but they don't say it. They'll say like, "Hey, are you taking any trades?" And I'll say, "Yeah, potentially, depending on what you got." And they'll show me something. And they'll be like, "It's about $30 value," and I'm looking to trade it into about $40 or $50 value. So it's like they're doing a trade up challenge without saying it, and it's like I don't really do that. The way that I do trades, if and when I do them, and I did a couple slab trades, nothing too massive. I had some pictures. I think I took, like I said, 5 pictures of the weekend. 2 were of my table, and 2 or 3 were of trades, and then 1 or 2 were out like at the bar where we were playing darts and bocce, which I will get to later. But I didn't queue up those trade photos because they weren't anything too drastic. But generally speaking, when I do trades as a vendor, as a dealer, it's like I want to win in some way. Like I will trade straight value. If your slab last sold is 300 and my slab or my slabs combined last sold are like 300, there are times where I will trade into one bigger, more liquid thing, some of my smaller things. Or if I'm trading my one big slab though down into multiple smaller slabs, I either need to win in value some or liquidity, or ideally both, because it's like I'm not out here to just break even, right? Like I can't just spend all weekend trading equal value and then taking home like equal value but twice as many slabs that are half as liquid or something. So yeah, I found a way to politely decline a handful of trade up challenges, but it wasn't nearly as bad as like Orlando. I think they were just a lot more viral at the time of Orlando. A lot of the big content creators were doing them, and maybe they've kind of died down some in the interim. But that covers Saturday. Now this is Sunday. As I mentioned, You can do either. You can go vertical. I know some people go vertical with both cases so that they can fit even more in the middle. But since I had sold my boxes, since I had sold my my bulk slab shoebox, I opted to go horizontal with both cases. It leaves a little bit of room in the front to put out the business cards and the stickers. Handful of kids here and there were picking up the stickers, putting a smile on their face. Nice to get the business card out. I got the QR code in the back. One thing I forgot to do that a lot of people always mention, and I think I mentioned it in my my live planning for Collecticon. I have like a QR code on my business card that would lead you to my link tree that has my my Patreon, my Instagram, my YouTube, all that good stuff. But what a lot of people did was, and I need to do in the future, I need to just do it once, and then it will be made and done forever. Get like a here's a sheet of here's the sheet of paper that comes in the collector chest tin. If I had something about this size that I put a QR code for my Venmo, a QR code for my PayPal, and then I guess that would be it. Because I take, at these conventions, I take cash, I take PayPal, and I take Venmo. Some people do Zelle, some people do so many different. I guess I have a Wise. I don't know if I could do a QR code for my Wise. I probably could. But yeah, having a QR code so that you don't have to fumble around with like pulling out your phone and doing the QR code on your phone to scan, or just telling them your whole email address tied to your PayPal. It is a handy, good thing to do, and I know a lot of people would have them standing up in the front section of their booths or lying flat on the table there. That's something I need to remember to do before Houston. But anyways, as you can see, one thing you will know if you're looking really closely, maybe you're not looking really closely, but I sold so much on Saturday that I couldn't even fill out my cases on Sunday. It's a great problem to have. I always bring enough. Like I always bring extra. I always bring even the slab shoebox. I had extra in the back that I filled in as I went. But this was literally everything. Sales went so well on Saturday. I don't give specific numbers anymore, but if you start totaling up some of the things I talked about, clearly was well into the five figures. I sold 90 to 95% of what I sold for the whole weekend was sold on Saturday. But it was like my Sunday, the first 3 hours, I didn't make a single sale. But it was a great problem to have in a lot of ways because I just sold it. I sold everything I thought I would sell, everything I thought slash knew I would sell on Saturday for the weekend, just sold on Saturday. So almost everything sold on Saturday. I did end up taking a bunch of Zach Gemmit Pokemon slabs because it's like I had free space. I took a bunch of his slabs to throw them in the case. I actually had these web packs. Anyone who knows what those are, but there was a Gengar, there was Articuno and Venusaur web packs that I had on behalf of him. Yeah, so if you look really closely and you see some slabs that I didn't have on the first day, I didn't like buy them or anything, but they were just thrown in because I had this space. I got my Squirtle Squad, my Griddle Greaser Pete, and my Dan over there in the middle of the left one. But yeah, day two sales were really slow. It's because most of my best stuff went. Most of the stuff that didn't go in the right case, all that WotC stuff, some of this Japanese, the metals there, most of that stuff I'm gonna put into my eBay vault in between now and Houston. Houston is pretty much gonna be like, I might bring some modern packs, which I didn't have any of that for this one, and then I'm gonna have like a lot of modern slabs. I'm all my higher end stuff is going into the eBay vault. Shout out to my eBay vault consignment. If you have any interest in that, hit me up. But yeah, day one, Saturday, I did sell the Tsunade BGS 10 for about 400. And then day two, the Black Label, I did about 800, part trade, part cash for the Tsunade Black Label. So it was cool to move a couple Naruto cards. Really interesting phenomenon. Orlando and Dallas, I had slightly more Naruto. I maybe had 10 to 15 slabs in my cases at Orlando and Dallas. This one, I only had like 5 on day one. At least twice as many people talked to me about Naruto as had talked to me at the prior conventions. I noticed a lot more cosplay too of Naruto. So I don't know what it was, but it felt like Naruto was like a little bit hotter. It wouldn't have surprised me. Like I do have a little bit of One Piece in my eBay store, but like had it been One Piece, I would have linked it to the whole Netflix thing. I think, and I don't watch One Piece. I don't really do much with it, but I have a little bit that I've gotten through my distributor, and a little bit of high quantity promos that I've gotten to grade. But I don't know if something happened in Naruto recently where it just is more in the spotlight. But yeah, it was noticeably, maybe it's just bigger in Charlotte. I don't know. It was noticeably a lot more frequent that I was having people like, oh man, Donati Black Label and all the other stuff there. Then handful of people looking at the tops, uncut die cuts, but none of them sold. One thing I wanted to show, these guys came home with me, and I was surprised. Let me get my browser closed. Quite a few people looking at both. I think I actually had both of these in Charlotte. I sorry, not Charlotte. I obviously had both of these in Charlotte because that was just this last weekend. I think I had both in Dallas. I don't think I yet had this one in. I think this is the one I bought in Orlando raw and then graded it as a 10 from Saxon, I believe. So at one point, I think I made a short where both of these were around $1,000, and this one's dipped a little bit. This one's gone up a little bit. I don't think there's quite been a sale that high, but I think low list is over 1,500 on eBay, and I think there was one sold around 12 to 1,300. But yeah, a lot of people talking about both. I know PK on consignment, he had one for 1K that he ended up selling for 900. Mine got a lot of looks at 900. No offers, no bites. No. If someone offered me 850, probably would have taken it. 800, probably would have kept it. But no offers whatsoever. It was pretty interesting to see. A lot of people looking at it, talking about it. Day one, I had them side by side. Day two, I split them up. But a lot of people looking at both. More people looking at the modern one, but nobody making an actual offer on either. So I thought that was just an interesting thing. Moonbreon update. One thing a lot of people will always be out to ask you is like, what sells? And I did cover. I did cover a lot of what sells. I always give them the unsatisfactory answer, but the only true answer of good stuff priced well. I mean, I think every convention I've been to, that all my inventory always falls in that. I always bring some vintage. I always bring some modern. I always bring a little bit of sealed. Raw I don't do much with. This was the most raw I've ever done, and it was only the Champions Festivals. But a lot of people just look for this magic formula of like, do A, B, C, and then you'll make $1 million. It doesn't exist. Like, it's so luck based. It's so RNG based of just who happens to be walking by your table. The best thing you can do, and shout out to my label maker. I've always got to talk about that meme. Look at, you can, I mean, me on my screen right now, I don't know, depending on what you're viewing this on, maybe you can't read them. But if you side by side compare my label maker price stickers with just a regular price gun, you can read these from at a distance. And there are times where people are walking, like looking over people's shoulders, walking from the middle of the aisle, and they're like, I actually get complimented on my price stickers frequently. So the biggest things you can do for yourself is like bring good inventory priced well, and then just put up the rest of it goes to luck, right? Because a couple people come through, like there was literally a buyer for the Moonbreon for $900 in the building. There were probably several. I just had bad RNG, apparently. I had bad RNG. PK was closer to the front, but like if you've ever been to a Collecticon, there's literally 70 sections. There's about 700 vendor tables. Just because you're closer to the front doesn't necessarily mean that someone's going to see you first. Some people might go down row by row. Some people, I mean, I never have seen every single table the whole time. There's been times where I just walk straight back, and then I ended up seeing something in the back row before I see something in the first 2 or 3 rows. So a lot of it's luck based. I'm sure there were buyers for a lot of these cards inside of the building that just never made their way to me. But then obviously one of the biggest things that I always have, some amount of my sales are always buyouts. If you can source your stuff so well that you can price it well enough that someone else can make money on it after you, obviously you're going to get a lot of sales. So not that I'm saying you need to just price everything to the floor and give it away. And obviously the whole buyout thing is kind of funny because like I do have a handful of people that just are recurring people who buy me out. I could sell to Rusty on any given day. It's kind of funny, kind of ironic that I flew hundreds of miles to bring the heavy packs down. I could have picked up the phone months before Collecticon and probably sold them the same packs for the same amount of money. Same thing when Cloud buys some stuff from me. Same things when anyone ends up. It's like, and I do that periodically. I mean, it's not that I don't sell to those same people away from conventions. It's just funny that I tend to more. But then I also get small buyouts from people that I've never really seen before, like the people buying the Celebration Charizard, the Nagabas and such. But I think that's primarily it. So yeah, 3 hours to make my first sale on Sunday. Very, very slow. But then a few trickled in, and I did only about 5% of my gross on Sunday. 90 to 95% of my gross was done on Saturday because I just literally sold everything. I contemplated, and in hindsight, I should have just slept in. I should have not even set up Sunday. I probably should have just been like, hey, who wants my table for $100 for the day? I did make some good sales. I made that Tsunade Black Label sale. Plus, it was just fun hanging out in the section with everyone. I mentioned Pokey Chef, met up with him. He gave me the cook card. He gave me the Capital Grill gift card, so I sent him with an Umbreon plush. I bought some souvenirs for the kids. I didn't bring them down with me for the video, but yeah, the kids. I got a Wario plush. That's who I usually play when we play Mario Party. So they like Daddy's Wario. And then I got they're both big into Kirby lately. So I hit up Cardinal Gaming, got a Wario, a Kirby, and a Dr. Kirby. And then I also shout out to Ponga, fellow section mate. He actually, one side of me was Jake, Pokenomics, and the other side of me was Ponga. So let me show the absolute scammer. I bought 3 for $3 each. I gave him a 10 and he didn't give me any change. The absolute scammer that Ponga is. But no, I gave him a 10. I told him to keep the change. I gave him a tip for being such a good sport, being such a good section mate next to me the whole time. But yeah, some Panini Mario cards. I haven't actually given these to my kids yet. I went to make this video and I'm like, oh man, I forgot I got those Mario cards I got to give to my kids, but I was able to show them off in the video at least anyways. Thank you, Ponga. So yeah, I bought the souvenirs for the kids. I actually waited. I did not buy the souvenirs for the kids until after I made my first sale. I'm like, I'm definitely buying something for the kids today. I can't come home empty-handed, but I also wasn't going to go negative for the day. I was not going to go negative for the day. I waited till I had my sales in hand, and then I went over to Mason, then I went over to well, I turned over to Ponga and pulled the cards out of his binder. And I did pick up. I picked up a little early. I got a few sales under my belt, a few grand worth of sales, and then I picked up and I did my rounds. Just said my goodbyes to a lot of people. I had to fly out at like 8:30, and Zach was actually flying out around the same time. So we ended up leaving the convention around 6. It ends at 5, but then there's a lot of time for pickup. I think they kick out anyone who doesn't have a vendor badge at 5. And then I just wandered around. One thing I forgot to mention, I actually did a little bit of consignment. On Sunday, I had some of Zach's cards. On Saturday, Jason Page walked by, and he's like, man, you got some good stuff in here. He's like, you want to take this? My cider was so good. I did not yet have Zach's cards in the case. I had those for Sunday, but Jason Page had a signed VHS that he had signed. And he's like, hey, if you can sell this, sell it for whatever you want. Give me $1,500. So I put it in my case for $2,000. Didn't get a single look. It's funny because the next day there was actually 3 little kids walking around with that same VHS. So he hit me up to try to consign the VHS on Saturday afternoon, and I actually had a couple people. The only people who talked to me about it were people who were like, yeah, Jason Page was trying to sell that to us, or Jason Page had that in our booth for a couple hours this morning. And then like 3 little kids were walking around trying to sell it for $2,000 on Sunday afternoon, and I told them, hey, I had the same thing yesterday. Good luck trying to sell it. So that was a funny interaction. But yeah, the last couple hours at the convention, I was just walking around, checking out some of the vendor tables as they were picking up, and then saying goodbyes to people as I was getting ready to head out to the airport. That pretty much covers the convention. There's probably a lot of little things that I missed, but there's going to be the same for the non-convention part of it too. But I am still going to do my best. So we'll start with Thursday. I did Thursday to Sunday night for this one. One of my big focuses for the weekend, as always, probably when Charlotte comes around, as long as it's not a weekend that like Rusty's unavailable. But Rusty's was like an expected highlight of the weekend. And I was going there Friday. I was going there Friday all day, so I had to come in Thursday night. Very late arrival. And shout out to Bierski. Kevin, very good dude. We have the Charlotte Collecticon planning Discord that a lot of us are in. And we had a ride planning channel. I tried finding like people to carpool with an Uber or whatever, and shout out to Bierski. He offered to give me a ride. So He is relatively local to there. He ended up giving me a ride over to the hotel. He was staying at a different hotel not too far away. But then I actually got there. I mentioned that I was late to the hotel area, but I beat the live stream drive streamers. I actually saw Gary on the way in. Weird hotel where you got to go up a floor in the elevator before you can check in. But it was funny. Two separate times at the during the weekend, we had interactions with people where I think we like gained attendees from local people who worked at some local establishments. Saturday night at the steakhouse we went to, we talked one of the waitresses into going to the convention, and I didn't see her, but I believe she did end up going. Her husband or fiance or whatever. And then the lady who was running the counter at check-in, somebody checked in front of me that was going to the convention, and they talked about it a little bit. And then as I was checking in, Gary walked by, so I was talking with Gary and her, and I think we talked her into going to the convention as well, because it was just a couple blocks down the road. So we up in those. I mean, all the talking about Collecticons we do on YouTube, all the talking we do about it at the convention area during the weekend. We're putting in work. I need like an affiliate code for selling those badges or something. If you guys are watching, hit me up. Thursday night, yeah, I saw Gary in the lobby. I ran into a couple people on the way up. I want to say I ran into Jake on the way up, and yeah, I mean I ran into Jake and PK and Nick after they arrived a little bit later. But we ended up going. It was Thursday night football, so I'm like, let's go out to dinner somewhere. I'm cool if we go somewhere to watch a game. I'm cool if we go to a steakhouse. I'm cool anywhere, anything we end up doing. Like I'm cool with. So it was a decent sized group of us. I'm not gonna remember everyone that was there, but yeah, Bierski, PK, Jake and his girlfriend Sarah, John, Pokey Radar, Charlie, Zach, Mr. Walrus, Old School. There was a good portion of us that went out, and it was like a sports bar up top and then a speakeasy downstairs, dimly lit, but like really good food. The steak was one of the saltiest steaks I've ever had. I'm a big fan of salt. Hopefully I don't deal with high blood pressure down the line, but big fan of steaks, big fan of salty steaks. This was the saltiest one I ever had. I think a couple people didn't finish their steaks because it was like too salty. It was pretty damn salty, but I got through it. It was delicious, but it was like it was a lot. It was a decent bit of excess salt going on there, but washed it down with the IPAs. I could have used some mashed potatoes. I could have used some unsalted mashed potatoes or something to cut a little bit of the salt there. But yeah, Charlie was just like balling out, got us down to the speakeasy, ordered a ton of appetizers. Charlie's a great dude. Love hanging out with him. And then afterwards, the food was really good there. The whatever IPA I had was really good. We found it was like an Irish bar, so called. Inside, it did not feel or seem very Irishy. We just hung out outside. It was Bierski, Nick, PK, Walrus, and myself. We got there at about 12:30. I want to say like each one of us bought around. We put down like 4 or 5 beers in an hour and a half before closing time. Closing time was 2 a.m. That will be a trend. I was there for 3 nights. I closed a bar every night. I'm getting up there in age, but as long as I don't get into the hard stuff, I will get to that on Friday night. A lot of us at the public house, a lot of people doing shots. As long as I opt out of those. At past Collecticons, I've gone into those, and not that it's ended like really poorly. It's just it's not the way for me. All day long, I can do IPAs, but the second I start getting into the shots, I mean, IPAs taste good and they lead to good outcomes. Shots don't taste good and they can lead to bad outcomes. I really am not one to get hungover or anything, but when I get into shots, it's like I'm waking up the next day still hammered, and that's not optimal for when you got to vend. Anyways, continuing on. Yeah, Thursday night, like we got in fairly late. We had dinner, we had some beers. It not too much went on, but like I say, not too much went on, but so many great conversations with so many great people. Like that's just the general theme. Collecticon weekends, it's like the first half of this was business, right? The first half of this was the sales, the buys, the convention, everything that happened within the walls of the convention. A lot of fun, a blast, an absolute blast. But the highlights are like those late nights. The highlights are those times outside of the convention walls with other people. And sometimes you're talking business, but sometimes you're talking life too. I can't share every conversation I had. A lot of great in-depth business, tax related. You get a little bit of tax advice, you get a little bit of life talk here on YouTube, but the real tax advice, the real life talk, that happens in person. So if you know, you know. Uh, that covers Thursday. Friday was badge pickup. We did close the bar down on Thursday night. Friday, I think we woke up. General trend of Collecticons is that you just don't sleep. We closed the bar down at 2. We probably made it back to our room. I think we had another beer or two at the room, hydrated up before bed. Usually to bed around 3 o'clock. One night was an exception though, which I'll cover. Yeah, badge pickup. We went over to the convention center. I don't really set up too much. I usually just I put out my tablecloth thing, and then that's all I leave overnight. I only have one table, so I don't have a ton of setup. Some people hang up all their plushes. Like Mason was probably hanging up his plushes. Unfortunately, he didn't end up making it to Rusty's because he had some van trouble, which I think was talked about in a different live stream or elsewhere. And Mason might do his own recap. I hope he does. He has not yet at the time that I record this, but I love hearing recaps. One of the first things I like to do, or not the first things I like to do, but one of the things I like to do the week back from Eclecticon is just relive it through everyone else's perspective. Like I'm one dude of the 5 sections worth of people that we had, plus all the people that weren't vending. Like dozens and dozens and dozens, if not 100 people that I met and talked to, and I was one person living one like version of that. But to hear so many other people's, like just naturally with that many people, like not everyone went to Rusty's on Friday. Not everyone went out to the same dinner I went out to Saturday. There was like 12 of us there, but there were probably 5 other dinners with 12 people, or like 20 other dinners with 2 or 3 people, or this or that. Like, so it's always cool hearing the stories of like the bar I didn't go to, the dinner I didn't go to, the different place, the pack pull I missed, or I love recap videos, so I always try to do my part and contribute to that to excess with an hour-long video, probably over an hour-long video. But anyways, Friday morning we picked up badges. I think badge pickup didn't open till 9. I know a lot of people were making their way to Rusty's fairly early. I think Zach and maybe Charlie, a few people ended up going up a fair bit earlier than us, but we had to pick up badges. By the time we picked up badges and made it up to Rusty's, I think it was a little over an hour. Maybe 11:30 we got to Rusty's, and yeah, one of the first things when we got there, like Rusty is way too generous, way too gracious of a host. He had some like juiced up Evolving Skies packs. I believe that they came from Ultra Premium Collection, Charizard Ultra Premium Collection boxes. I have a couple hundred of those my own, many of which I'm going to be breaking down. I need to like do some sampling. These things were so rainbow rare heavy, and actually I have a stack of stuff that I can show from Rusty's. I'll show in a little bit, but I opened I think the group of people that were there earlier, then I rode with Nick, Jake, Sarah, and PK, and yeah, the group of people that were there earlier, they had already ripped 10 Evolving Skies packs each, and then I think, how'd it work? I forget exactly how it worked. Yeah, Rusty gave us each 10 Evolving Skies packs, so maybe everyone did do 20. It might have been 250 to 300 packs, because there was like 12 to 14 of us, and they had done their 10 earlier. A Moonbreon or 2 had been pulled, and then we each got 10. I didn't pull any Moonbreons. I guess I'll show these now quickly. But I pulled out of 20 packs. I must have missed, actually. I think these were out of my first 3 packs. Maybe it was my 20. I think I pulled 2 rainbows in each 10 packs. For some reason, I thought I had pulled 5 or 6, but this is all I'm seeing right now. But yeah, like the rainbow rare pulls were insane. So out of call it 300 to be safe, 6 Moonbreons got pulled. I did not pull one. I know Jake pulled one. I think Andrew pulled one. 6 people pulled them. I don't think anyone pulled 2. But yeah, 6 Moonbreons got pulled. Crazy amount of rainbow rares got pulled. That was all I pulled. I pulled like no holo rares, no altarts, no anything else. I scooped a bunch of just Pikachus and Eevees and stuff from the bulk for my kids, and a Psyduck. And then Rusty also had up in this little loft area, he had a little vending machine set up. So all these old school, like I think they're counterfeit. I think they're like fake, but all these old school stickers, and then this what is it? A Cardass card. Bandai card. But yeah, he just had like a cool, like the actual vending machine that those things were distributed in. It was pretty cool to pop a coin into that and just get that experience that people got back in the day. Uh, but yeah, like I'm not gonna get too in depth on like go look at Rusty's eBay. A lot of his stuff is in the eBay vault, as with mine. A lot of his stuff is off site, but he has some pretty. It's cool to go into someone else's area, into their eBay area, and just see the organization, see their setup, and he had some cool uncut sheets and things like that. But the biggest takeaway for me was like the organization. Everything had a place, like everything was labeled. I look around here right now and it's like, man, I need to step my game up. Every time I go to these conventions and talk to like people doing things at a higher level, seeing what they're doing, hearing what they're doing, and more so seeing, like going to Rusty's and seeing how he set up, it's like, man, I gotta level up my game. But yeah, six Moonbreon to be in the presence of six Moonbreons being pulled, it was crazy. Couple Rayquaza alt arts being pulled too. We did some ATV riding. I wrote Nick's phone. I don't know how he did it, but he was go-karting. I was on the four-wheeler, and I thought he had lost his keys. So I was like, how are we gonna get back? We're over an hour away from the hotel. What is even the plan right now? So I went around on the ATV around Rusty's property, and pretty big area that we were riding in, and I was going really slow looking for like keys. It ended up being his phone, which I ended up finding. He just lost it when he was getting in or out of the go-kart or just turning a corner or whatever it was. Big there, playing on the floor, but like looking for the dimensions of a phone versus like keys that could have just fallen under the leaves or whatever. And I mean, who cares about an iPhone? Am I right? If he had lost his iPhone, who cares? No big deal. Buy another one. If he had lost his keys, I don't know what the plan was for getting home that day. But anyways, I ended up finding his phone. I had a blast. No pictures, no videos. I know that there was that hilarious video clip that was taken of me riding Rusty's his kid's little 100cc or 50cc four wheeler, whatever it was. I was riding a more appropriately sized four wheeler this time. Rusty's got a handful of four wheelers. I think he had a bigger one that had a flat tire. I think he had a bigger. He might have had two bigger ones, and maybe one was functional. It never got out. I rode the biggest one that was out. It was it a, I don't know if it was a 400cc or whatever. Maybe it was even a 250. It was more properly sized though, and I had a blast. I had not ridden since the last year at Rusty's. And before that, had probably been over a decade since I had ridden four wheelers, three wheelers, dirt bikes, anything like that. But that was a blast. His house, his setup is amazing. And then later that night, I will show a group picture that we had from Rusty's. I guess I'll show that now and I can just go back. But yeah, this was most of the crew at Rusty's. Later in the night, not too long after this was taken, I think Rukshan showed up with his wife. Very, very nice people. But yeah, top left across, you got Charlie, Sherlocker, you got Jake, PK, Nick, Gary, myself. Rusty, for whatever reason, he's like, Dan's so tall, let's make him look taller. He's like, everyone in the back, you just slouch down some. I think he was the only one who did it. But yeah, Rusty is a lot taller than he looks there. I'm not that much taller than him. He's I don't know how tall he is, but he's pretty crazy in Pokemon, like how tall a lot of people are. Quite a few of us over 6 foot. Then yeah, you got me, Rusty, Zach Gem Mint. This was Brant was his name. He kind of middlemans for I believe it was Andrew. I hope I'm not getting his name wrong. I talked to them for a long time. I'm so bad with it. I usually need to hear names 3 times before I remember them, but I only heard Andrew's once, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then Brant, Andrew runs, I believe it's called Card Secret. He actually lives in Japan and runs a card store in Japan. So I think individually everyone in this picture I had a pretty decent length conversation with, and common theme of every Collecticon is like you wish you could talk with everyone so much more. Like I actually talked a fair bit of Naruto with Brant, and then I just talked about like the whole like American experience, visiting America for the first time with Andrew, and always got things to talk about with John, and then Sam, Chibi Collectibles, and then I got to meet Rattle as well. Great crew of people. We had a great time. We were in Rusty's shop. We were in his house. We had lunch and dinner there. Shout out to Anna and Rusty. Gracious hosts, beautiful family, beautiful home. I love Rusty's setup there. I'm very happy with everything I have, and I'm not saying it like in that way. But one thing I wish I had a bit more of was like more land. We have plenty of house, more land though. I wish I had. I'd probably get myself into trouble though. Like if I had Rusty set up, and if I had those four wheelers, 33 years old, I'd probably break an arm or something. It's probably good that Rusty didn't get the biggest four wheeler out because I would probably have a broken arm or something. I'd be in a cast right now. So I had a blast and I didn't hurt myself. So yeah, it was a great time. But yeah, great folks. I don't know what more to say there. But yeah, I really appreciate Rusty's kids were running around playing all day. It was a blast. And then after Rusty's, obviously not everyone was there. Not everyone was anywhere at any given time. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on. I think I think a lot of people had done dinners and lunches and a lot of fun things those days. And that's some of the stuff that I get. When I was at Rusty's, I didn't know what else was going on. I listened to other people's recaps and I get to like relive and hear what they had going on. And I think the general consensus was that a lot of people had a great time all weekend long. But yeah, afterwards, a lot of the people I pulled up Discord, checking out where people were. We got back in around 9:30 maybe. I think I had a beer or two in the room quick. A couple people, we got cleaned up, got ready to go. We met over a couple blocks. It was called the Public House. They had darts, they had bocce. I apologize, I don't have pictures. Shout out Vandy. Man, I played against me and Ivy. Me and Ivy played against Vandy and Basic, and both games, I believe we played 2 games of cricket. Both games we jumped out to a lead. I'm very tall. Darts, you're allowed to lean, not stepping over the line, but you can lean. And for someone who plays almost never, I am pretty decent at darts because I'm so damn close to the board. We jumped out to a lead both games and then just lost because we couldn't hit the freaking bullseye. That was so annoying. But it was fun though. We were playing darts behind us. Oh man, who was playing bocce? It was Brad, Brandon, Nick, and Walrus, I think. I believe. But yeah, there were multiple people playing different games. I actually have on a different screen here. I have that is one picture that I took, but it's terrible lighting and everything. Oh yeah, it was Adam. It was Nick, Adam, Brandon, and Brad. Maybe Mr. Walrus played at one point, but not when I took the picture. But anyways, yeah, we this bar had so many beers on tap. It was like it was amazing. I think my beer was like number 34. It was some IPA, but bought around for the gang and just hung out. Talk again. Split. I mean, I saw Grimer collects. I saw Java. I'd met him last year at Charlotte, but I got to see him again and talk to him further. I can't try to name everyone because there was dozens of people there, and I talked to Mason about his unfortunate van breakdown that he had, but he finally made it, which was great. So many great people. We had 5 sections worth of people. I can't call out everybody, but I had little conversations here and there with a bunch of people, broke off to play some darts, watch them play some bocce. Shout out to Mason for buying those fries. Those fries, whatever time it was, 1 o'clock, 1:30, those fries hit real nice after a few IPAs. And we closed the bar down again. That's the trend. I mean, when the bars close at 2, you may as well just run right till closing. And people break off, and there were people that were already gone by the time I had gotten there at about 10:30. There were people that were leaving as we were there, but there was a pretty decent crew of us that closed the bar down. So really, really good time. And again, yeah, Rusty's was a great time. Every Collecticon, it feels like there's always, like, I always spend a decent bit of time with Nick. I usually share a room with Nick. I spend a decent bit of time with Zach if he's there, John and Charlie and Jake, but there's always like a couple people that I wouldn't have expected it, but I get to spend a lot more time than I would have thought. And it's always just happens to be a certain way and not really planned, but it always turns out great. Like Sam was one of those guys. Ponga too. I don't have any pictures of you to show Ponga, but Ponga ended up vending next to me. So I mean, plus we ended up out and about with each other as well. Some of the post convention things, but yeah, just each convention weekend, you kind of end up talking to certain people disproportionately more. The people you vend next to, the people you sit next to at dinner, whatever it may be. And yeah, like when I had first got in, I didn't mention it, but I think it was Thursday night, I met up with Zach in Sam's room. And then Sunday on my way out, I actually met up with Zach in Sam's room as well. And Sam does some business with like Chloe and Harry over in the UK, and really, really great guy. He was probably just someone who I talked to more than I would have expected or planned to, and very, very pleased with how just amazing of a person and how knowledgeable and cool guy he was. He sat behind, he wasn't in our section, but he sat nearby for a decent bit, and just, yeah, talking life, talking cardboard, same thing with everyone. But Saturday and Sunday, I mean, I already covered the convention portion of that, so I will just kind of relatively briefly touch on. We're nearing an hour here, which is what I expected. But yeah, Saturday after the convention, Rusty was there only for Saturday. He didn't come Sunday. And so given that Rusty wasn't going to be around Saturday night late, he wasn't going to be around for Sunday, I kind of wanted to like see him out. So there was a handful of us that got together at the Red Eye Diner, it was called. We were going out to an all-you-can-eat steakhouse later, so it's like, man, we're getting milkshakes before we. I think Rusty had some kind of a meal because he was heading home, but a lot of us got milkshakes. I know Ray got some kind of a, what was it, a cheesecake or something? Ray will probably correct me in the comments. I don't know if Ray will listen this in depth. He is a 9-to-5er. He's only a side hustler. So, yeah, Ray had a couple people had some kind of cheesecakes or whatever. A lot of milkshakes flowing. Really, really good diner there. And then we ripped a lot of packs. We left an extra tip because we just left. I should have took a picture of the table. There's so many pictures that I wish I had taken just to jog my memory better for this recap and just to capture the thing. But I know Instagram. A lot of the photos were shared around Instagram and in Discords and stuff. But yeah. The table that when we left, Rusty just had packs of like all different kinds of stuff. He had those 12-pack variety bundles that PK talked about selling on consignment for him. And we left the table full of those empty wrappers and like a lot of the bulk too. Some people took their hits, took their bulk. I took a couple hits in my pocket, but then took some hits in my pocket to give to my kids to put in their binders because the way that they play with them, it doesn't matter anyways. But a lot of bulk, a lot of packs got left, so we tipped extra. And then we headed from there to a Brazilian steakhouse. I believe it was called Chima. I'd never been to that one. But took a little while. We were meeting up with a decent amount of people. I think there was like 6 of us there, but there was like 12 to 14 total. Peta party, bunch of other guys that I wasn't as familiar with, but they were more down one end of the table. I sat with like Charlie, Ray, Nick, Zach, Peter, I don't know how to say his last name, but from Polaris. So many great people, great food. Jake and Sarah next to me too. Steaks and IPAs. What more can you say? I got a couple drinks up at the bar before we were seated, and then I just coasted out. I didn't want beer to take too much place when I'm trying to work my unit price of steak down as low as possible. And man, I did pretty well with it. I did pretty well working that unit price of steak down because I put a lot away. Picanha is always my favorite cut, but garlic, all these garlic steaks, all these different cuts. If you've ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse, you'll know they come around with the big skewers of meat and they slice it off for you. Man, amazing meal, amazing people. Common trend. Good times with good people and good food and all that. So after that, we went to trade night. Our dinner reservation was for like 9:30. And the trade night ran from like 8 till midnight. So we got milkshakes before 8 o'clock and we ran right up until our reservation. We got back around like 11:30, almost 12. The trade night was like ending, but I had actually checked while we were at the diner. I had checked Discord and people were saying the trade night was like, it was pretty packed. It was pretty sweaty, pretty tight. A lot of people packed in there. I'm sure I would have had a great time. I think a lot of people pulled themselves out of the trade night and went more to the hotel bar. I'm sure people had a blast. As I said earlier multiple times, we had a great time at the steakhouse. People had a great time there. You can't be everywhere all at once. Like I only make 3 to 4 of these events a year, and I like semi FOMO about the ones I don't go to. It's like I didn't go to Long Beach 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm not going to Denver in a couple weeks. There's always going to be great things going on, people having a great time. Like even when you're at an event, it's like, man, trade night sounds great, dinner sounds great. You can only pick one. So all year long, you got to choose which events you want to go to. And then when you finally go to an event, you're going to find out like you can't do everything at the event. So it's a great problem to have, though. I will constantly say that. It's a great problem to have so many great people, so many great events, so many great things going on that you're like torn between two amazing choices. Like, what a problem to have. I don't know if I want to go have an amazing night here or an amazing night there. So we went to dinner. We caught the end of the trade night. And then shout out Pokemon DNA. I believe it was him navigating with his iPhone. We got lost trying to get to a bar, and then we ended up getting there and it was closed, and it was right next to the Red Eye Diner. But yeah, we ended up just going back to that Irish bar with a decent crew. I forget how many people we had, but we had a decent crew, and we went. I mean, that first night it was like me, Nick, Bierski, Walrus, and PK. But we had a lot of those same guys, and we had like Ava's Binder, we had Ponga, we had a lot of people. We ended up going in, and it was loud in there. It was not Irish bar feeling; it was more club feeling. We went into the first floor. I think I bought several beers there for a bunch of people because I had such a great weekend. I had such a great Saturday. But then then we ended up, some went outside. I think Nick and Walrus went outside. A bunch of us went upstairs. It was just so loud. My voice was mostly gone too. One thing that happens every convention weekend, even when we don't go, like in Dallas, we went to this one bar that was like really chill, did not have the music cranking. I will say that about Public House too. Half the time they didn't even have music on, and when they did, it was reasonable. Like it was I saw some people saying about Friday night Public House bar, they talked about how loud it was. It was mostly just people talking. Like if it's the sound of 80 people in a bar talking, it's like, okay, I can deal with that. That we have that around where I live. But these city bars that just like clubs where I guess you go there, you don't talk to anybody. I want to like talk to people. I want to drink beers and talk to people. That's all I want. And I guess you can do that in a hotel lobby. You can do that in a hotel bar. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I go out. But I've definitely said in past recap videos, like no more loud bars for me. I did break that a little bit Saturday night because we went into this Irish bar. First floor way too loud, second floor way too loud. I only had like, I think I had a beer in there, and then I ended up going downstairs because it was just like, it was too much. I went downstairs and back outside, and then we ended up closing that one down as we do. And then Sunday, like I already covered the whole convention. I had a timed flight out with Zach. I rode over with Zach to the hotel. Um, not too much else to add, I don't think. I mean, I'm at an hour and 2 minutes. Uh, let me go back. Let me go back full screen. I did have a couple notes written down. I think I covered everything though, but yeah. Oh, yeah, I think I forgot to mention Thursday night I opened a resealed pack of PKs. Did I Yeah, I think I covered everything. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to show too. If you want more recaps, I'm a big fan of Collecticon recaps. This is probably not an exhaustive list. I looked through my recently watched on YouTube this week. I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch way too much YouTube, PokeTube. But this is just a handful of the recaps that I listened to this week of Charlotte Collecticon. So shout out Professor Birch, got to meet him. Pokemon Wonder I actually got to meet too. I don't think he recapped it. He had a live stream this week with Opossum Bud. But yeah, I got to meet Pokemon Wonder. There's gonna be so many people that I got to meet and I got to talk to and I had a great time with. And I forget to say their name, and I apologize for that because it's just way too many people. But yeah, Professor Birch, Java, Shining Cards and Collectibles, Ray, PK, Legend of Luke. Got to hang out with him, talk to him a little bit. I believe that was Thursday night. Or no, I believe that was Friday night at the Public House. Orion Sires. I met him at the convention. I don't believe I saw him outside of the convention at all. Alex Nostalgianomics, TCA Gaming, Rusty. Pokeflips, we kind of did a Charlotte recap, but we didn't talk much about Charlotte with Zach Gem at Pokemon. Pikachu, got to meet him, talk to him a decent bit. Slab Podcast, the Green Shiz was there. Josh was there with his wife. I didn't talk to Josh too much, but that's the thing. I had a flight out a lot of it just happens by chance. I had a flight out with similar timing to Josh in Dallas. So he was one of the ones that I got to talk to like a lot more. We went a little bit early. We went and got some Pizza Hut. We had some beers, some pizza, some wings at the airport on the way out. It's just like a lot of it ends up being fairly random chance, just who you end up talking to more than others. I mean, yeah, like Nick is a staple. Nick I'm always gonna end up talking to a lot. But common theme of all these is great people, great times, and they always go by real quick. But that said, like I was gonna say they go by too quick, but I can't say they go by too quick. I did miss my wife and my kids a lot. 3 nights away is a lot. That's the most I've ever done. I think that's the second time I've done. I believe I did that the same thing last year. But my next event will be Houston. I know a lot of people are gonna have a blast in Denver in a couple weeks. I hope everyone has great sales, great buys, great time. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you made it to the end, let me know. If I missed you, let me know. I apologize. I'll try to make it up to you. But yeah, I had an absolute blast as always. I covered it earlier. Bring good stuff priced well. I heard some people say like slabs were so bad and sealed was so good and raw. A lot of it like RNG. A lot of it is RNG. But some people did find, I think some people's first convention experience, people find that like slabs aren't as universal as they are deep into PokeTube, deep into Poke investing spaces. Slabs are not nearly as ubiquitous as just sealed and raw. This right here behind me, like sealed and raw are 95% of the hobby. They printed 9.7 billion cards last year, and they only graded how many million through PSA? PSA graded 3 or 4 million Pokemon cards, probably. So only a tiny fraction of Pokemon cards created get graded. And obviously that's not just that year's that were graded. That's of the 50 billion produced total. So yeah, it big takeaways are I'm going to keep on keeping on, keep doing the same things I've been doing. I'll probably be bringing a little less high end to each subsequent Collecticon, but yeah, my general trend is buy a section, share it with a bunch of good people, have good times vending throughout the day, stay up way too late, sleep way too little, and then spend the next week catching up while I listen to everyone's recap. So yeah, here's my contribution. I appreciate everyone watching, dragging through that hour and 8 minutes. I will catch you all later.